I'm genuinely surprised to see Meta is finally putting out a reputable AI model again. It's finally feeling like they are making a serious comeback in the AI race because today they had ended up releasing Muse Spark 1.2 alongside Muse Code, which is currently in beta. This is already their third major model release in just 4 months, and it's honestly looking really impressive. What makes this launch interesting is that Meta didn't just release a model, they paired it with its own terminal coding agent called Muse Code. Together, they're designed to handle complex software engineering tasks across massive code bases, and Muse Code can plan changes, write code, validate the results, and even coordinate multiple persistent sub-agents to solve difficult problems faster, more accurately, and with far less human intervention. Now, benchmark-wise, if you have to take a look at the world of AI benchmark score, this is where we have rigorously tested out this model across multiple benchmarks. And currently you can see that it has broke the top 10 because the Muse Spark 1.2 is debuting at 6 overall with a 79.8 composite score. This puts it right behind GPT 5.6 Terra while beating GPT 5.6 Luna, GPT 5.5, Opus 4.8, and Grok 4.5. But the craziest part isn't even the ranking, it's the value. Now, this leads me to pricing, and this is where you'll see that the Muse Spark 1.2 is listed at $1.25 per 1 million input tokens and $4.25 per 1 million output tokens. It also contains a 1 million token context window, which is really great. But you'll also notice that there is another model slug that looks exactly the same as Muse Spark 1.2, but it has the contributor slug. This is where if you are to opt into data collection for Meta to improve their products, you can use Spark 1.2 at a ridiculous pricing of 10 cents per 1 million input tokens and 20 cents per 1 million output tokens. And what that is going to essentially do is they're going to use whatever you're using, whatever docs, repos that you upload, they're going to use that for training to actually further train their models. But essentially, that pricing is quite crazy, especially as a daily driver for most coding tasks because it's up to 250 times cheaper than Fable and 150 times cheaper than GPT 5.6 Soul. Even on artificial analysis's intelligence index, this is where it now scores a 54, which is quite incredible, surpassing Grok 4.5 at high thinking and just behind Terra, which is GPT 5.6. If you're building apps with AI, here's an MCP server you should probably install. First, if you haven't heard of Mobbin, it's one of the biggest UI inspiration libraries out there. It has hundreds of thousands of real app and website screens from companies like Stripe, Airbnb, Notion, Linear, and thousands more. Designers have been using it for years to study how the best products solve different UI and UX problems. Now, here's where it gets interesting. Mobbin has an MCP that connects directly to AI coding tools like Claude Code, Cursor, and Codex. So instead of your AI making a UI from scratch, it can call the Mobbin MCP, search for the exact app or website interface it's trying to build, retrieve real production examples, and use those screens as context while generating the code. Watch this. In this demo, Codex searches Mobbin through the MCP, finds relevant design patterns, analyzes how those interfaces are structured, and then uses the information to build a much better front end instead of hallucinating every design decision. One of those MCPs that makes AI feel dramatically smarter because your agent now has access to real world UI references while it's working. So if you're building apps with AI, definitely check out Mobbin MCP using the link in the description below. And thanks to them for sponsoring today's video. Meta also released official benchmarks and it's showing that it ranks number 5 overly, beating Claude Opus 4.8 Max on something like GDP Eval version 2, scoring 1631 ELO score. It also improved from a 78% to 80% on Terminal Bench 2.1, where you can see that it is entering the top 6, and it also does quite well on a couple of other coding benchmarks. Now, since these meta models are multimodal, this new Muse Spark 1.2 is something that excels at visual coding. In this demo, the user had uploaded an MP4 fly-through video of a home directly into the terminal, and Muse Code was able to analyze the video, understand the properties, layout, and visual style, and then builds a full-on polished visual-rich website with complete booking functionality, and it was all completed based off of that video that was sent in that it was able to use its multimodal capabilities to analyze what that video is showcasing and then place in different scroll triggers as well as different components to make this even better. Now, if you're looking to get started with this model, you can easily use it through Muse Code, which is Meta's harness. You can also use it through their API platform, which I'll leave a link to in the description below. And if you want to also use it through the World of AI benchmark and vibe coding platform, you can easily do that over here as well, where you can run your own benchmarks as well as get a better idea as to what you can actually do with this model. We're going to be running it across an extensive test to see what it's capable of doing. You can even access my prompt library if you are to subscribe, and you can even get started for free. So take a look at it with the links in the description below. Now, when it comes to front end, we noticed that within the World of AI benchmark, this is where it had significantly improved from its previous model, the predecessor, which was the MuseSpark 1.1. And you can see that with a couple of these front end generations, it has perfected the scroll trigger animations using different packages as well as different design tastes across all of these different front ends. It has done a lot better than the previous model. I'm not saying it's the best design model that's out there because it still has a lot of clunky errors that need to be refined even more. You'll also notice that there is a GPT styled similar output across all of these generations with these different panels. But regardless, they have definitely refined it and they improved it from the previous Muse Spark 1.1 model. So overall, it has gotten a lot more competent in this specific domain. And when you're looking for a desired visual taste with this model, when you are to describe it by adding in more details within your prompts, like highlighting what sort of packages it should be using, how it should be using those packages, and what are certain things you're looking for within that landing page. If you are to simply just describe it in detail, the model does a pretty decent job in outputting some nice visual elements based off of those prompts that you give it. It also does quite well in 3GS. This is where you have the ability to actually generate some pretty cool simulations in 3D environments using 3GS. So where we had requested it to create a voxel 3JS sort of 3D game. And it is pretty cool in terms of the animations and elements that it has added. Overall, it is a little laggy, but still, it did a decent job with this output. Next up, we had requested the model to actually focus on showcasing its advanced visual programming. This is where we told it to focus on shader logic as well as how it's able to depict it within this 3D ray tracing viewer of different blocks, how it would work and look with these different objects. You can even see that there's animations. You can also change the exposure and all of these other elements, but you can see that it was able to successfully combine multiple SDF shapes. You even have different operations, lighting effects that have been simulated. And overall, this is something that tests how proficient the model is in putting together all of these elements into one environment using 3GS. Next up is where we had requested it to create a butterfly in SVG code. And right away, you can see that this is one of the best front end generations of a butterfly that we have seen from any model in SVG, obviously. But just take a look at it with different palette designs. You can even change the wing form, you can change it to angular, or you can even add in a swallowtail. This is something that we haven't seen from any model. It adds in a lot of depth to it. You can even change the visual wing speed as well as the flutter speed. So there's a lot of cool things that you can actually do. And it just showcases that this model is something that doesn't end up being lazy with the generations. It puts in a lot of effort. But one thing I did notice is the post-training effort that they have put in into front-end outputs. Because you can see that with most generations, if you are to use this model, you'll notice that there is going to be a particular styling and front end that you'll notice across all the generations, which is why you need to be really detailed with this model. Otherwise, you're going to be getting this similar output across all of your generations. And this is what I mean. You'll be able to request it to generate something, but it will add in these visual elements like the panel or a particular styling across all of your generations. It reminds me of OpenAI's earlier GPT models, but I hope they can officially refine this so that it's not always something that is going to be prevalent across all your generations. If you want the best AI tools, workflows, and drops before everyone else, join my free newsletter with the link in the description below, which is completely free. In this example, we can see that it did a great job with this SVG that is depicting the simulation of the New York Harbor. And this is where it was able to do quite well across all of the components that we had requested. We can see that it added in the ferry as well as the Brooklyn Bridge and cars on the highway. And you can even change it to different environment progressions where you can change it to morning rush. Now you even have midday, you even have sunset, and then midnight. Now here I had requested it to create a dungeon crawler game, and this is where it is actually pretty nice. And it did this in 3GS. There are obviously certain things that look a little buggy. When I go closer to the wall, it actually morphs my visual aspect, but you can see that there's potions, there's even functional components like the ability to slay different enemies to progress further into the map. And that is actually pretty cool because you can even progress further by opening up different doors. And I believe we can even use these different potions, I believe, by pressing E or G. Oops.
3,000 years later.
I want to use the freaking potion because I'm going to die. Oh, to use the potion, you gotta press H. I am blind because on the freaking top left corner, you can do that. Are gonna slay a couple of enemies and let's see if we can get to the next level. I like how the sword is so tiny. I'm able to open doors, so that is pretty cool. There's even different things that you can do. Like in this case, I guess this is the main thing to ascend to the next level. So a lot of cool things that have been added with this generation. It's definitely not the best dungeon crawler game that we have generated. What we have seen from the Opus 5 is definitely the best, but this is still pretty nice because it added in different visual textures, different enemies, and different components that definitely made it look really nice. If you like this video and would love to support the channel, you can consider donating to my channel through the super thanks option below. Or you can consider joining our private Discord where you can access multiple subscriptions to different AI tools for free on a monthly basis, plus daily AI news and exclusive content, plus a lot more. But that's about it guys for today's video on Meta's new Muse Spark 1.2. This is definitely something that was genuinely impressive. I really love what Meta was able to deliver here, and it's another incremental update that brings in a lot of major improvements, obviously in coding. I really hope that they can refine it even further, and eventually we can have a new meta model that is going to be something that could even enter the big leagues with the top 3 models like Kimi, as well as with OpenAI and Anthropic. But huge props to the Meta team for developing this pretty cool, remarkable model. I'll leave all the links that I used in today's video in the description below. Make sure you go ahead and take a look at our links like our World of AI vibe coding platform and benchmark where you can access this tool to get a better idea of what you can actually do with different AI models, as well as getting a better idea of how to use these models. Make sure you also go ahead and take a look at the second channel. Join us on the newsletter, join the Discord, follow me on Twitter, and lastly, make sure you subscribe, turn on the notification bell, like this video, and please take a look at our previous videos so that you can stay up to date with the latest AI news. But with that thought, guys, have an amazing day, spread positivity, and I'll see you guys really shortly. Peace out, fellas.